Hi, this is Alex Gonzalez from In Your Face. This episode is going to be an Age of Sigmar episode where we talk about the previews that happened just last week. We talk about my disappointment with there not being a lot of Soulblight there, at least not as much as I'd like. And we dive into some details of what we expect out of some of these new armies. Have fun, enjoy, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
I mean, they said it in a more flowery way, but that's all we know is that they're working on a new project. They have a whole new dev team to work on a whole new project.
You know, the whole concept though of a remastered game, I gotta say, it's like ingenious, but I know it's not new because like Ben Viscera like basically like harassed me until and he doesn't listen, so he doesn't like he's not gonna hear this, but he harassed me to the point where I ended up getting Age of Empires 3 like the deluxe edition.
The remastered, yeah,
the remastered. And like I had played a bunch of 2 when I either in like high school, I think middle school, I think like 8th grade, and I loved 2, but playing a remastered game, I was like, okay, so the mechanics of this game are wonky and make no sense because it's not great, but like it is remastered. Like it like if I were to play the original like 2, this would be a lot more exhausting, you know. So
yeah, it's funny. It seems like it's an easy thing that they could do. Like, take, like, you think of what a game is, right? A game is a series of formulas that that talk about balance and interaction. So almost all the math should be able to come forward. And then depending on the engine that you use, right, you might be able to update to more modern graphics if the engine itself can carry, now on a better computer can handle more detail, heavier graphics, heavier pixels, all those things. But if the engine you're using was already at its max, you put out your game in Quake 1 engine when Quake 3 was already king, then you might not be reskinning without literally reinventing the game. So
apparently
Quake 2, I would fucking love Quake 2 remastered. I didn't play Quake 1 all that much, but Quake 2 like was such a great game, and it's fucking dirty and creepy and gross and everything's like biomechanical. Fucking love that game.
Yeah, back in those days, I was still able to play first-person shooters just a little bit. So like I've played actual like Quake and Doom, Castle Wolfenstein when it first came out, stuff like that.
Right on. Yeah, that sucks that you can't take full advantage of those anymore.
No, it's a bummer. It's probably for the best. I mean, almost certainly I would be lost in some extreme first-person shooter, me and that crew, go out, so I'd probably be over the top. So it's probably best that I stay away from that.
There you go.
I mean, it's not that you have seen me with some kind of habit towards extremism ever. So, I mean, I don't know that would happen. But as I look around my entire room of Warhammer here.
I was going to say, I got some things in the background here that don't really add up. One final thing about remastered on my end, I think it's so funny that like some studios will come out with a bunch of stuff very quickly, or at least announce what's on their docket, and then you have people like Bethesda who will like come out with things that either are complete flops or like continue to hint at something that's like years and years and years down the line. And Skyrim came out in 2011. And yet, like they basically kind of gave it like a facelift. So I'm waiting for them to be like, no, there's not going to be a Elder Scrolls 5. Instead, it's going to be, or Elder Scrolls 6. Instead, it's going to be remastered Skyrim or remastered Morrowind.
Like, well, they just got a new console, so why not another?
For some reason, that game, even though it was kind of over the shoulder, first person,
never gave you an issue.
No, I could play it for about an hour to an hour and a half. And then I'd have to go lay down afterwards, but I was still able to log almost 90 hours into that game.
Holy shit. Okay, good. And your condition will self-regulate not overdoing it on time. I definitely put like hundreds and hundreds of hours into Skyrim. Like,
so fun. It was so fun. I mean, just fun. Just the creativity of the freeform character development and all that. It was so new and exciting at the time. Oh, it was great.
Oh, for sure. that's of course a real great fantasy setting, as with Age of Sigmar here. So for our listeners today, of course we are having a little bit more of an Age of Sigmar episode, and we want to take a look today at the information that dropped earlier in the weekend. But before we do, my phase has been relatively simple, I would say. Played a game with Garrett played some 40K, our league game, finally got it in after 2 episodes of saying that we got to get it in. I basically lost at deployment. I did not properly anticipate burn up. Like, he basically shared his list and I did not look at it. So hey, maybe you should read the list and deploy your army understanding what the list was. So rookie move.
Pashby special meets Alex.
The Pashby. Yeah, so I had a Pashby special, and turn 1 he made me pay for that very hard by almost completely nuking my 2 warrior units, and that was not game over on turn 1 though. But the game did not go to a full conclusion. It was a good game. You'll have to watch to find out some of the extra bits there. But yeah, and then there were some technical difficulties with the stream setup, but I think I got that fixed now. So yeah, we had a good time. It was a good game. Orcs are in a very rough spot functionally, and I would say like, oh well, they have to have this, right? And Garrett's like, no, like I forgot what rule I asked you, and you were like, of course not. And I'm like, well, they should. And you're like, well, they should. Oh,
Orc Burnas are still 8-inch range.
Oh, what it was you told me they had a 5-inch move, and I was like, what? Yeah. So I mean, sure, you get the run in charge, but like at a 5-inch move, okay. If it was 8-inch move and run in charge, it's a whole different story.
Oh, the other one was, you asked, do war bosses give me reroll ones to hit? No.
I just assumed that there was an aura or something, but it's the run in charge aura. Yeah. So not fun, but still, it was a good game. It was a good game. And then hobby stuff. I honestly need to figure out some sort of format of accountability for finishing hobby projects, because I just haven't. So if anyone has any ideas, definitely lay them on me. Maybe I can get the patrons to harass me to the point where I can actually get shit done. So
but wait, maybe would that actually work if we got our patrons to hold you personally accountable?
Oh yeah. As someone who actually does accountability for a living, I almost constantly need it. You know what I mean?
I'm very offended by that reality that apparently my shame can't seem to influence him, but the patrons can.
Okay, but there's a different type of reinforcement. It's a positive and negative reinforcement. And passive reinforcement. Yeah.
I only know one type of reinforcement.
You only know one.
I've never heard of this positive reinforcement.
Yeah, right.
There's beat them till the behavior changes. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, like, I get it too, because when I was a little kid, especially when I was I don't know how to describe it. When I was a little fat kid. Like hiking and stuff. No, this isn't gonna be a therapy session. But people would be like, positive reinforcement did not work for me then. And so I don't necessarily need positive reinforcement, but I need accountability is what I need for hobby progress. Because I still have the dice box I need to paint. I got new turbo paint. The turbo paint I had was really cool, but after 1 coat, I realized I needed something that was a little lighter. So I got new turbo paint. Which color is it? It's, there we go. Let them eat cake. So I got it's kind of like this background. So got that back for my dice box. It's a little brighter than the other one that I had gotten, which I forgot the color of that one. It was like neon something. And we got that. We got the Necrons that basically need to get a rebase coat and then start working on detail work. Then I have the Seraphon, which is a whole nother story. So got a lot to paint. But besides that, everything else in my phase has just been non-hobby related. John, what about you?
Oh, nothing much. What about you, Garrett?
Nothing much. What about you, Jeremy?
I had to do a double back here. I'm like,
That's shocking. Wait, John, I'm pretty sure you had something you wanted to tell us.
I do. So last week, I recorded a hobby show, was working on that custom Satan from Michael Tempe, and I actually did finish building it. Now, here's the actual model. I disassembled it a minute ago when I was recording my hobby show. So here's the body, but there's actually like 3 rotating shields. So I've got these acrylic rods that come out, and then I've got the shields magnetized, since there's like going to be basically orbiting shields around this guy as well. So kind of cool. And then of course he's got interchangeable hands for different weapons. And I have the full model magnetized so that I can, one, transport it very easily, but also for painting. So, when you're doing like your zenithal highlighting, you want everything together so you can do the direction of light as it hits the entire model. But then I'm going to want to pull different components apart, like the sun, and airbrush it on its own. I'm going to do true metal metallics for the body here. And so make that happen. So anyway, so that's what's going on with that. And then, of course, if you guys watched earlier in the week, I've started a new project where I'm actually going to do some terrain and do bronze with a verdigris on this AOS terrain set, using the instructions or the project that I got from my GK hobby box and this AK Action magazine that has a project on how to do bronze statues with verdigris. So last week when I was sitting down to record this podcast, and I sit down to record at 5:20 in the afternoon, and I finish up my recording around 6 and record the podcast from 6 to 7:30, and then I actually go live with my live stream at 8. So last week I actually happened to be working from home, and all day long I'm working, doing my stuff, and my dog, Mr. Kubo here, and I was trying to get Kubo to jump up on me, but he won't really, because he's super trained not to do that. So he was like looking at me. I was like sitting here going, Kubo, jump up. So I'm going to get some video of that. And he instead sat in front of me, and he just sat there. He's like, no, I know not to jump up on you. You're tricking me.
This is a trap.
This is a trap. So he sat there for a minute, and then he walked away, and he's gone. Anyway, so last week, I'm sitting here, and I'm just starting to do my podcast. I'm just about to hit record, and Kubo comes in, and he hits me with his paw on my knee, which is a sure indicator that he needs to go to the bathroom. No problem. I get up, I go to the back, I open up the back sliding door and let the dog out into his potty yard. Our dog has his own fenced yard with a sand pit where he goes potty, so we can clean it up all very nicely and all that. And of course, since I knew that I was going to be occupied for the next 3 hours recording and live streaming podcasts, I figured I would go ahead and just leave the back sliding door open in case Mr. Kubo needed to go potty again. He could just go on out on his own and take care of business. Be no hassle. And I frequently will do this, especially if it's a nice day. I'll leave the door open and he'll go lay in the sun and do that stuff. So it goes on. And I, of course, recorded the podcast. I recorded with you, gentlemen. We had a great show last week. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. While we were recording, one of my wife's friends has been staying with us. She lives a distance away, and so she rents a room in our house to go to work during the week. She got home. I heard her talking to Mr. Kubo in the other room, and she went to her room. And we finished our recording, and I went and made some tacos. It was, Taco Wednesday again last week, just like today. And I ate those tacos. They were delicious. Came back in. I did my live stream from 8 to 8:30. I finished, which is right when my wife got home from work. She actually got home, like literally as I finished the live stream, I hear the door open and I go out and I give her a big hug and say hi. And I'm hanging out in the kitchen. And she walks back in the living room and screams bloody fucking murder. Ah, there's a rat. There's a rat. Get it. There's a rat. Oh shit. I'm thinking, she's like, you left the door open and a rat came in. So I go trucking in the living room, and where she's pointing, and I have a large aquarium, a large 72-gallon aquarium in my living room. Yeah. And I keep a table in front of it. And the dog piles all his toys under the table. That's where he keeps them, right? Out of the way. And where she points towards the dog pile, I look and I see laying next to the pile of dog toys a big old roof rat, maybe 7 inches long with about a 6-inch tail, big old stinking rat, and he is soaking wet. Soaking wet. And right laying in front of my aquarium, I'm like, oh no, what happened here? So I grab a bag, I grab them, throw them in the garbage outside. Now we have security cameras at I have cameras on every window. I got a turret camera outside to watch over my peppers, and we have cameras inside the house as well. So we quickly zip over to the video, and sure enough, there find the clip where the dog goes out to go potty, comes back in. He's standing at the back door, just looking out, enjoying the air, beautiful weather out here. And then all of a sudden he goes darting out and comes back in with that rat in his mouth. Goes to the living room and lets it go. And catches it again and lets it go. And catches it again and lets it go. And by the 4th time, it doesn't go anywhere. And so since it's not playing as much, he starts picking it up and throwing it into the air. And it's bouncing off the walls and off the couch and off the table and off the TV and off of everything as he goes and spends basically the next hour and 20 minutes throwing this rat all around my living room, hallway, dining room, kitchen as he's playing with it. In fact, he only stopped when my wife's friend got home. He went and took the rat and dropped it in his pile of toys where his toys belong, and then went and sat himself by the door to await her coming in and said hi. And he never went back to the rat. And there it sat. So like when I went out to go get my tacos, yeah, there was a rat laying on the floor next to me. My wife's friend walked by the rat, all of that. So after we look at the video and all of that, and we're just like, what do you even say, right? My wife looks at me, she goes, do we need to worry about disease? And I looked at her with a straight face and I go, no, honey, it was a very healthy rat. Oh, she filled a squirt bottle with alcohol and doused the whole house. So that is what was in my face this week. Garrett, what's been in your face?
Hold on. So, important question. When you gathered the rat up and threw it in the garbage.
Yes, outside.
Was it alive?
No, not only was it dead, its entire body was basically a rag doll where every bone in its body had been squished and mished. I'm lucky it didn't burst open.
I will say, when you said that it was there and it was all wet, I assumed it like went nuts, right? And then the little red flag came up when you were like, I put it in the garbage. I was like, wait, you caught the rat and then you threw it in the garbage? Like, good luck catching the rat in the household, right? Like, but yeah, wow, further context.
So just now, I went to record my hobby show. And the dog comes up to me to go out potty. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go stand out there till you're done.
Holy shit. Garrett, how about you? What's in your face?
Well, as always, my face is always massively dwarfed by John's. I don't know why we have John go first. I'm still confused by this. He should always be last, but okay, we'll continue this. My face is not exciting. Probably the only exciting thing is that I'm going to be getting a cat. So
wait, have you had a cat before?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, she died back in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, she was 18. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think I recall that.
Yeah. So we're getting a new cat. We found a rescue, and so we're getting a 2-year-old cat. I don't know what breeds are. It's a cat.
It's probably a tabby. If it wasn't, somebody would be claiming it was something.
It's short-haired, so it's probably a tabby. It's not an orange tabby like my last cat, but It's like black and gray. So yeah, we just finished virtually meeting her this evening. And so we're now got to just schedule a time to sign the papers and pick her up. And so we'll probably be doing that next week. So we just need to like now get our house ready to have another cat. Luckily, like we made sure to find a cat that's good with dogs because I have a 5-year-old golden retriever and a 1-year-old yellow lab. And it's like, do you have like a lot of the adoption papers? Like, is your household active, calm? No, active. I would say active. Active is a good way to phrase 2 dogs who yell and scream at each other constantly. Yeah, that's one way to put it. So, but yeah, this cat seems very curious, not fearful, and like it played. The foster home has a dog, and the dog is annoyed at the cat for trying to play with it. I'm like, okay, I think I can handle that. So
it's funny.
Yeah.
As you know, I also have cats. Alex is a cat guy too, and I have dogs. My wife likes dogs. Jeremy has dogs too. So we're all pet lovers, as it were. But I also have dog and cat, and have been through some more advanced training. Of course, Garrett has been through very advanced training with his dogs as well. And one of the concepts, is that you, as the owner, whatever, you're the pack master, right? So you establish your pack master, and then you're the authority over the dogs. This is kind of a thing that most people know. But one of the things our trainer taught us is that if you're going to have a cat in the house, that you are the master, but the cat is God. And that the dog has to see you showing deference to the cat. And then the cat will realize that the dog will realize that the cat is beyond its approach. And so it's hilarious. I have a 105-pound dog, and she's 12 pounds if she's lucky wet, my cat. She's a tiny little cat. But by gosh, I've watched that dog pee himself in fear when he can't get past her. Like she'll just stand there and look, and he's like, I need to get past. So it's pretty funny how that dynamic builds up.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this one turns out. I'm intrigued to see because Stellar is such a he's the sweetest dog ever. I mean, he has really good breeding in him because he's bred to be a service animal, and so he's this, and he has no prey instinct. Like squirrels, whatever, he's always just like, that's another animal. I'm intrigued by it, but he doesn't ever chase after it. So I'm curious to see how he'll end but he plays with Stormy. They play rough, like really rough at times, and I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens with a curious cat and a active dog that has never played with a cat before or anything smaller than him. I'm curious to see how that'll turn out. But we've set up a
cat will let the dog know when it's crossed the line. Yeah,
that's what I learned with my last cat. Like because we got Stormy at 8 weeks old when I had a 13-year-old cat, and she was like, yeah, don't fuck with me. And he's like, oh, okay. I get that. He's like, yeah, no, don't fuck with me. But I mean, we're going to set up a space where the cat has, it's like Stellar doesn't go upstairs. And so the cat will have that upstairs as her domain. So she'll always have a safe space in case things get too rough downstairs or whatever. And so, yeah. And then
nice. Yeah. I mean, a couple cat towers throughout the house, and she has a safe space to escape to anyway. So it's as easy as that.
So I'm excited. That's probably the most exciting thing in my phase other than playing against Alex and bombing him into the ground with burner bombers. That was fun. How many was it? Like I brought one squad down to 3 Necron warriors and the other down to 5.
I'm aware.
6.
One of them, you did the stratagem where you did the bomb twice, and both times you, out of 10 dice on a 4-up, you rolled 7. And I was like, Garrett, did you just roll 7 twice from 2 separate rolls of 10? And he's like, yes, I did.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I did.
Great. Great.
So
it made its points back immediately. One of them immediately made its point.
Oh, and then you use the crash and burn stratagem. So one of them just hit his Satan, a Necron Destroyer Lord, a Necron Lord, his Chronomancer, his Royal Warden, and both Necron Warrior squads for 3 mortal wounds.
I basically set myself up to get the maximum amount of damage that you could potentially put on me with burn bombers. And so I was like, oh, this is great. But we don't want to spoil too much of that.
So anyways, Jeremy, how was your last week?
Where do I start? I will start with, I got to play a game on TTS with Greg Geode, where I got to try the a version of my Slanesh list, my new Slanesh list that I purchased, and against him playing Dracothian stuff, because I want to actually try them out against like competitive armies. We ended up playing Better Part of Valor, which was a terrible mission for this exercise because he just on turn 2 basically nuked all of my battle line. So that was awesome. Or top of turn 2 nuked all the battle line, which is something that, top of 2, which meant like I only got to burn 1 objective the entire game, and then you can't summon battle line units. You know, units summoned or do not get the battlefield roll. So it's just like, cool, I can't win the game, and I didn't kill all your battle line on by my end of my turn 2. So good game. But I got to experience the Lurid Haze Sigval, which was cool. He managed to come off the corner of a table 9 inches away from a unit of 10 skinks, but 13 inches away from Croak. Rolled a 10-inch charge, which was supposed to plus 3-inch charge meant that he got to charge Croak and kill him, which was really awesome. There's nothing more rewarding in this game than watching Croak die, and it is AOS because the GW team has totally fucked up that model rules and point costs so drastically that what?
Twice now they fucked up that model.
You know, I think that
so,
model's rules are reasonable and makes.
Yeah, no, totally reasonable for the point cost and what he does. And you know, every time I hear somebody defend like, oh, but you have to invest so many other points into making Croak work.
No,
shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up. It's bad for the game. So anyway, but at least I got to try out Slanesh. The Blitzbard Archer Seekers, the Blitzbard Seekers did a lot of work in generating like the depravity points. I was very happy. Now it's just a matter of refining the playstyle and the overall list a little bit more. Obviously, Battle Line making a larger investment in Battle Line units. Not that there is any real durable Battle Line units in Slanesh, so I don't know if this will really end up working out, but who the hell knows? Maybe 3.0 will take away this mission because they introduced teleport for the last 3 books last year. They introduced teleporting shooting, which destroys pretty much any battle line, any army with a decent durable battle line unit. So
yeah,
the super awesome mechanic, guys. Good job. So anyway, that was my phase, and then
that was almost a rage fueled rant. You could have put a little more into that.
I am.
I think you can, but I think that we've literally all heard it. And I think our listeners also share the same sentiment. Like shooting in Age of Sigmar is a little too strong right now. And they're just, I would say that primarily it's because of the fact that there's not enough things hindering shooting. You know, like there's no obscuring terrain. There's no ways of blocking out, just sniping out characters. There's no there's a lot
terrain
of
that's over a certain height is infinitely high and can never be seen through. Well, I mean, I would argue that that's all that AOS. I mean, it's not all. I should say, but that is one thing that could greatly sort of rebalance and improve things. Would be to add in like literally 40K style terrain.
Well, that would be a start.
I would say the main problem, besides the terrain, I would say it's 50-50, is also exactly what Jeremy just mentioned, though, is the teleporting shooting. Seraphon and KO both, they excel at throwing units across the board anywhere and just being able to pump those shots at the right angle for themselves. So,
well, it's also like there's no counterplay because in AOS, a teleportation move is a setup move, which means even if you're in combat, it doesn't count as retreat. So in AOS, there's a limitation. When you retreat, you can't shoot. Well, unless you teleport. So the problem is when you have armies that basically don't follow a regular set of rules of the game, it's a bit hard to enjoy the game because they play a different game.
We don't have enough statistics. We don't have enough statistics.
Not enough data to make those decisions.
No, but again, those are things that are easy to fix. I mean, it's literally, you know, regardless of how you disengaged, if you were in combat and now you're out of combat, you can't shoot kind of stuff, you know, whether it was a teleport or anything, you know, if at the beginning of your turn, you are engaged, you can't shoot for the rest of the turn. Done.
Yeah, it was even funny because when the KO book comes out, I think everybody read the KO disengage rule and fly high rule, as in like, oh, KO gets to like redeploy and have this disengage rule, which allows them to retreat and shoot as long as they didn't retreat away from a fly unit. That's cool. And then you know, at least fly units can lock him down and so forth. And they're like, Games Workshop, no. Fly high is a completely different move. It's not at all related to disengage, and you can do that and it basically still bypass. Like, there have been so many opportunities for them to just say, no. Teleportation is considered a move, guys, not this not move thing. And they're like, no.
Right. I mean, in my mind, either the model is exactly where it was before, or it's somewhere else because it moved.
Disengaged out of combat.
Yeah.
And you have to move the model to do that.
Well, let me move the topic onto what happened this Saturday. You know, we had the Warhammer preview for the Mortal Realms, and you know, all of our listeners by now have to have seen it because by now it's been quite, you know, a little longer. It's been at least 4 or 5 days. So, you know, of course, we got a good rundown of the rest of the Lumineth models. So it turns out we're also getting a new Lumineth battle tome. So Jeremy, you now have that full battle tome, hopefully, with the exception of Tyrion. And, you know, we of course know about the Warhammer Quest stuff. And I gotta say, I was pretty pissed off about the fact that I should have seen it coming, but the that weird bat-winged thing ended up being a Wight King instead of a fucking like vampire thing, which further reinforces the fact that, you know, and I know Garrett's gonna be a lot more excited than me, but that that Gravelord Blight, Soulblight Gravelords is just gonna be a rebranded Legions of the Gash, not a.
But he's not going
Soulblight.
to.
What?
Because he's not going to, because the actual question a lot of the community is asking themselves is, holy fuck, did they just roll Flesh Eater Court into a Gravelord? And basically, Gravelords are Death Rattle plus Flesh Eater Court now.
Why would they add Flesh Eater Courts?
Why would they eat Flesh Eater Courts?
They're basically, I forgot what it was. There was a Warhammer community article where it was kind of hinting that like there is Flesh Eater Court in the Gravelord like allegiance now. So they were like, so this, because you know what they did with Orcs Warclan, where they basically started bringing like certain like like small faction. Yeah, well, no, Big Wa is a sub faction of that. It's
yeah, Bone Splitters, and Iron Jaws, and then Big Wa. Yeah.
What the book is called Orc Warclans. We got past that. And they're basically going. The theory is that they're doing the same thing now for Death for certain sub allegiances, which have kind of been small, not a huge model line, and they're just basically gonna make them like part of this like you can build a Flesh Eater Court army, like you can Iron Jaws, and then you can build a Gravelord army, like you can do Bone Splitters, or you can build a combination of both. And I think that's like what a lot of community folks are thinking is that I think they might be merging Gravelords with Flesh Eater Court as one unified like book effectively.
I don't hate that.
I see it, but I don't think that's going to happen. And just from a business standpoint, the more separate books they have, the more separate purchases you make. And so like
they only had one Skaven book, not 4.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but that's because Skaven was one book. That is one model line of all Ratmen. You know,
it's as much 4 different factions as Death is multiple factions.
I actually disagree with you, Alex, because if you wrap them all up in one book, similar to Orc Warclans and particularly the Big Wa faction, you have players who traditionally would be a solely Iron Jaws player and players who traditionally would be a solely Bone Splitters player. And then they gave them a book where you know, maybe if you just want to throw some Bone Splitters units in that Iron Jaws army, pick up some Bone Splitters. You want to throw some Iron Jaws in that Bone Splitters army, play Big Wad, pick up some Iron Jaws. Like, it allows you to actually expand your collection if you were just a Iron Jaws player.
I'll meet you halfway. What if this is going to be the case, which none of us know? What I could see happening is that it becomes an army of. I think Flesh Eater Courts is because of the dichotomy of this Soulblight Gravelords is going to be a very distinct type of theme that they're giving off just from the name alone and from what we can assume. Flesh Eater Courts is like a whole nother side of the table of that. And what I could see happening is rules for Soulblight, rules for a Legion of Nagash, rules for potentially a Death Rattle centric army, especially if they're going to be redoing Death Rattle heroes. So then you could have a Death Rattle army, a Legion of Nagash army, or a Soulblight army all wrapped into one. I don't know if Flesh Eater Court would be a part of that.
The reason why it's happening this way is two things. A, because of Cursed City. And I believe there's also some, if I remember, there's a Warhammer Community fluff piece for AOS. No. Did you not see the pre-order for Cursed City? Has literally a booklet called AOS War Scrolls in the box. And those models are Flesh Eater Courts and Gravelords and Death Rattle. Like the entire Cursed City is a Necromancer. It's ghouls, it's skeletons, and then it's basically Vargolfs and like basically Flesh Eater Courts.
I'm looking at that. What's in the box? I don't think that those things are Flesh Eater Courts because they don't look like anything. They look completely unique.
You don't think that's a Vargolf? Are you kidding me?
Oh, that thing. Oh. Okay, well, hey. Vargeist are not Flesh Eater Court, and that looks just as much as a Vargeist as it does a Vargoof. It actually looks like neither because it's got more fur than it's got wing. It's got the two little shoulder wings, but then it's got a bunch of something that's unique to games to the design aesthetic. It's got a bunch of like wolf-like fur on it. So it's like
you didn't let me finish my second piece.
Mm-hmm.
There's a warmer fluff piece. I'm trying to find it where they basically, they do like these kind of like mini fluff releases on the Warhammer Community website for AOS. And I think there's one that's literally talking about how it's a Grave Lord with Flesh Eater Court, like allegiance or something.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see it, but I mean, like from what I see, of course the there's definitely some Necromancer style units. There's the skeletons, there's the zombies, there's the fucking Russian hat style vampire guy who's clearly just straight vampire. And then you got those going further with that aesthetic of that weird Vargeist, Vargoof. Is it Soulblight? Is it Feck? Who the fuck knows? It's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. You got these other dudes, these people with the long swords that look identical to the Night Haunt Bladegeist Revenant swords, the Greater Tomb Sword or the Great Tomb Sword. And they have a little bit of armor, and then they have long hair and screwed up looking eyes, and then they have those bestial legs that they end in. But then they also, instead of they're naked, but then covering up the bits, they have again wolf fur, which is a unique aesthetic. I'd be shocked if those were just ghouls, just because they don't look like ghouls. I think
they look like an interim model between a
vampire and a werewolf.
Like a courtesan model. They're like courtesans of the court. Like that's what it looked like to me.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I expect them to utilize the fact that they can name things with that are not named normally for say copyright purposes, and I just assume that they're going to be bringing out some new stuff. So maybe if that is involved, maybe it's not. I'd be interested.
It's dev anyway, because the next the next campaign for Broken Realms is Techless, and it's Techless versus Nagash.
True,
so we're
but
gonna have
the rules
dev.
they already have the rules for, or the armies that are going to come out in that book are Lumineth rules, Nurgle rules, and then Ossiarch Bone Reapers are going to have rules in that book. So I think it's going to be a main focus. I think just like Marathi, where it was like a big focus was Daughters of Cain, I think the main focus is going to be Lumineth with some minor bits of the other two.
I mean, I just want to say, I think if Flesh Eater Courts were wrapped into a book with Gravelords similar to how Warclans is done, I actually would like that because it gives Flesh Eater Courts a way to get an updated book, but they're still their own faction. Like you can play Ironjaws. You don't have to play Big Wa. Flesh Eater Courts can still be their unique allegiance with all their stuff, but it's in a book where if they start bringing Flesh Eater Courts, kind of like maybe Manfred is working with the Flesh Eater Courts to try to like overthrow Nagash or something like that. If they try to create a I don't know, some bullshit like that.
Well,
you create a faction.
You realize that would be a book as big as the Space Marine Codex.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I mean, how much stuff is left to these Gravelords?
Well, if you take the rules from all 4 legions in Nagash, if you take the rules for
I'd say half the stuff from Legions of Nagash has already been updated and shouldn't be in this book. Like
True.
more like that, like anything like put in Osiarch Bone Reapers or Night Haunt shouldn't be in this book, and that's like half of Legions in a Gash at this
And
point.
so that's another point why I bring this up is because I think that there's these very explicit factions within Death that I don't think that they're just going to clump all to one, just because Death is a faction that doesn't have a lot of battle tomes, and they've been focusing on very explicit directions. Because you just brought up Night Hunt, and we're going to get some new Night Hunt hero. I hope to God it's good, because Night Hunt need a new book. Bad, they're not going to be clumped into Gravelords, that's for sure. And so, you know, it's one of those things where it's like in game or in like Games Workshop's lore and in their like thematics, they explain that the hammer is Night Haunt, the anvil is Bone Reapers, and then there's, if you go too far into Shyish, you got all this other weird shit because there's just communities and cities of living and unliving that raise their own armies to fight you, and that's probably Soulblight Gravelords. It's just the militia and main armies that are not these elite troops, these hammer and anvils. And then there's the weirdos on the side who are these deluded, crazy vampires that don't have the Soulblight keyword, mind you, but they do have the vampire keyword. That's my thought. I don't know. Could be wrong. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll find out soon, right?
I'm excited for it. It'd be cool to see. That White King model looks amazing to me. I just hate the only thing I regret.
Looks great. Yeah.
I just hate the fact that for some reason all of the skeletons they make have to have their jaws open.
Right?
Can you stop that, please?
Someone noticed. Someone did a size comparison of the skeletons from that box from Curse City and then normal skeletons, and they're like, "Wait, skeletons gained like 3 feet."
Who are they skeletons of? Well-fed people.
That's a really good question. If you look at the Curse City models, there's 2 bodyguard-looking guys, and they're colored green, but I don't think they're just colored green because they're decrepit flesh or whatever. When you look at the Curse City models, you start to look at those 2 guys with the halberds, and like they have orc-looking faces. They very well could be just like rando orcs that were put, orc mercenaries turn undead, which is cool. It reminds me of Cursed Company from Warhammer Fantasy. That skeleton regiment of renown that like had like a skink skeleton and a human skeleton and another humanish skeleton with like elven chainmail and like a beastman skeleton. It was like a whole regiment of just like skeletons of variety of races, which was pretty cool. This will be cool to see. We'll find out a little bit more. I'm excited about anything death related anyways, so that'll be cool. But what do you guys think about all the Lumina stuff, just going full into the aesthetic of we are Toonami, and you are now in middle school and it's after school?
Are you talking about it because they went full anime-ish? Is that what you're saying?
They went full anime, yeah.
So personally, because I feel like I'm probably the only real, like, the person who actually played Lumineth on this podcast.
Yes.
I'm gonna point out that like if these rules don't fundamentally make Lumineth complete or basically address some of the problems in the meta OAOS, they can basically keep their fucking release to themselves. Because fuck them for basically releasing the other half of the book 6 months later. And I really do not appreciate this kind of like that end result. Now, talking about the model themselves, they're great except for like 2 models like that I've seen, which for me was the twins. The twins look super fucking weird. They look completely not. I just don't like the way they look. Like for some reason, I don't understand why the twin that's on top is basically going the opposite direction as the other twin and is also wearing like a space cadet suit. Like it doesn't even look like something out of like that entire model line for the most part.
Listen, Jeremy, we're talking about a model line that has a giant mountain character. It has cow characters in cow costumes. It has kangaroo riders. Okay, there is a fairly wide aesthetic already applied to these armies and this army. And what we have actually seen is that model after model, unit after unit, they are super unique. These are
Yes.
very different than anything we've seen anywhere in GW, at least that I've seen. And that's my takeaway from these new models, is they're pushing against that uniqueness limit. So they're kind of this wide aesthetic that they've got going on. They're more very unique, very interesting looking models. Hit and miss sometimes on individual sculpts or parts of sculpts, but overall, I think they're pretty gorgeous. But I myself have the same exact problem that Jeremy, is we were released essentially half a book. And here we are 8 months later, and that book is being released a second time. And it did happen to say, hey, if you happen to buy this campaign book along the way, then you have all the units you need anyways. So, most people are probably picking up that, I think it was the Marathi book or the other one that has the rest of the rules anyway. So you don't have to buy the new book. But if you're playing this army, you're going to buy the new book.
Debatable, because all they said is that the campaign book will have the new war scrolls, but who knows about allegiance rules? They might be new allegiance rules in the codex.
No, GW is of course gonna, not be clean on that. They're gonna, of course, create a situation where you have to buy everything possible if you're into that thing.
Yeah.
But again, you know what? So if you like these new models and then you want to expand your Lumineth army.
I do. So while the twins look weird to me, the fucking guy writing the Goku cloud from Dragon Ball Z also like, what the fuck?
Best model ever. What are you talking about? That is amazing.
And then the guy carrying the Japanese style sandals, like what the fuck? I was just it. Don't get me wrong, I love the model line, but like some of these models execution was just like, we get it, you went for a Japanese look and feel, like a Shinto look and feel, but you wear a little too much on the nose here of the anime, like a little too much on the nose, which is unfortunate, because I think the other person I know who really looks forward to this is Greg Geode, and he does not. I don't think he's ever seen a single anime in his life, and the fact that like now he's just like, people are gonna think I'm a weeb. It's gonna be perfect.
I mean, as soon as you put the flying fox character on the table, you probably are thought of as a weeb. So.
Oh yeah, the Kitsune is so obviously and kind of furryish. So like,
I was avoiding saying that.
So I do want to. Sorry.
Wait, Jeremy, are you talking about the guy who has the sandal stilts as being weird?
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's a Japanese thing.
I really like that guy for some reason. I like his hat. It's kind of cool.
I do. The model as a whole looks great. The whole like floating paper and brushes and everything. It's just the stilt. What? Okay. Like that seemed like really over the top and like useless for that guy. But whatever. It's
Maybe it's handy if you live in an area with shallow snow.
Yes.
Like Japan.
But also, like, that terrain feature that they're releasing looks amazing. But
it reminds. Okay, I jump in. It reminds me of the crying emoji.
Yeah.
I love it too, but that's what I see when I look at it.
That's gonna be my wallet after I buy these. But it's just like. It's like, that looks so impractical to put on the table. Like, I don't know how, like, especially with AOS, like terrain rules, like when you look at a photo of them side by side, like you can see like the terrain feature against like the army, it's bigger than Techless.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I was trying to figure out how big this thing is. Is it bigger than? Is it bigger than the Moon Mountain?
Yes, it is bigger than the Moon Mountain.
Oh shit.
Or it's taller. I don't know if it's wider, but it's definitely taller. So I'm like, transporting this is going to be a nightmare for tournaments. Secondly, like, also, like, I don't know how you're going to be able to place this on tables. Like, it looks massive in terms of footprint, and the way the rules are and the number of objectives, it's going to be challenging. So I can't tell if they designed this for just basically scenic purposes, or they're intended to like obviously they're going to have rules, because That's like that's like Games Workshop makes those terrain features, tells those terrain features that print out for armies by giving them rules and make them free to include in the army. But it is a kind of a, I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna cause such a shit show for like people won't be like, well, I'm playing Lumina if I get my terrain feature right. I'm like, yeah, but can you even put it on the damn board?
Right. Well, I mean, in theory, in AOS, we're putting the faction terrain down first. So
Yeah.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Not for match play. Match play has very strict guidelines on how you do that now.
oh, did it change it? Again, I haven't played hardly anything. It's that's one thing I was thinking about too. Is like when I get back into this game, I'm gonna have to approach it almost like a brand new game. The first few ones, just checking every rule.
Yeah. I mean,
GHB 2020 added rules of how to deal with tournament play, which you have to bring in things that actually have predefined terrain. So they added that.
Nice. I'll have to go back to our back catalog. It's funny. I look at this terrain piece though, and I really wish that there was I know it's just going to be the one piece of faction terrain, but I look at this thing and I'm like, I actually wish this was a whole terrain line that you could do an entire table that had this aesthetic. Because I think just not necessarily the flying waterfall crap, but just the aesthetic of that little arch and temple. I think is absolutely beautiful.
It's nice. And find a 3D printer, they'll be able to make something for you. Design terrain that's Japanese style for sure.
Fair.
I saw one person with some Photoshop make it look like the pizza, the Fire Slayer's pizza oven. And they just made lava flow down instead. They were like, if you paint this right and you cut that thing up and you just put the pizza maker instead, it makes a way cooler forge.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna be using it as a cup holder during tournaments. I'm just gonna put my fucking scotch in it. Like, here you go. It's my cup holder.
Is it gonna be too top heavy then? I guess you could reinforce it.
I don't really know. Who cares? I don't think this thing is ever gonna hit the table. It looks so massive.
It does.
My dog's making me nervous by sitting there staring at me. I'm gonna go see and make sure there's no rats in the other room. I'll be back.
Oh, yeah. We don't know what's going to end up happening with those. We don't even know what the rules are for that piece of terrain, but I do like the fact that it is a little easier to put terrain down now, just due to the rules, or not put terrain down potentially, just because of General Handbook 2020. But once we start playing tournaments again, we're likely going to have a whole nother change with potentially a 3.0. So who knows? Looking at everything else with the release. The Lumineth release, we know that they're getting, the artillery piece, and we know that they're getting those 2 twins, which I saw someone, and I think I forgot who it was, so I can't name the actual characters, but someone was trying to tell me that it may potentially be 2 slightly different named Warhammer Fantasy twins, but the only twins I can think of that were elves in Warhammer Fantasy besides Tyrion and Teclis were
the
Sisters
Wood Elves
of Twilight. Yeah,
Oh, the Wood Elves, yeah.
But it's got to be some other way more obscure person that someone's trying to connect the dots to.
That was a really good book series. Was that 2 or 3 books in that Wood Elf series? You remember? Yeah,
I only know it from Total War.
Huh?
I didn't even know it was a Games Workshop model until I looked further into when the Total War DLC came out. Twisted in the Twilight. They have those twins as one unit on a giant fucking dragon. So they're very annoying to fight against because it is like a dragon that's like a third the size of the other ones, and it's a very strong unit. But yeah, the changes with Lumineth, I think that these are probably going to be very holistic. I'm very curious to see what the sword. There's the lore seekers, and then there's the sword dudes. So it's like the lore. They're basically like sword masters of Hoeth and like lore masters instead, but they're lore seekers now, and they look pretty cool. I like the aesthetic. This is way more high elf, at least from a certain for those units in particular. I definitely like those. And then I also like that Venari mounted names guy. I kind of like him more than the first one that we saw, the generic version. And I personally want to see a tech list, but who knows when the hell we're going to see.
You mean Tyrion?
Tyrion. Yes. Which, yeah, I meant Tyrion.
I mean, those twins are brand new, by the way. They're completely new characters. They have nothing to do.
No, I know
with
they are.
Yeah.
I was thinking someone else was trying to connect the dots there.
The only thing also, like, I kind of want to point out that, like, they're going for the whole space elven Jesus thing now with Lumineth, which was not a thing before. You'll notice the banner and the lore seekers have like this basically representation of a guy like with arms up and like glowing, and that's a reference to obviously Tyrion, who apparently now like is luminescent. So I'm just I'm fucking really excited to finally read like, because I bought Slanesh. I bought this Slanesh army, because I'm just like, I need a backup in case this Lumineth release goes bad. Because I got burned last year. I'm like, I need a backup clan. So there we go. The I don't have any additional rage fueled rent today, other than the fact that I'm really looking forward to playing a little bit more AOS now, because it's getting back to being exciting to an extent, right, with the new releases. And I saw after playing at Garrett's event that I noticed that a lot of people are burnt out on the meta, effectively. Like, they're just choosing to not even play like good lists anymore, because they're just so burnt out of playing against Seraphon and KO. It's just like people are just like, I think the community's basically reached a point. It's like they've, through osmosis, that they're like, Games Workshop, since you're not going to fix your game, we're fixing it for you by just not playing these stupid fucking armies.
That reminds me that I saw somebody on Twitter post their version of updated Sylvaneth rule points. They're like, they're like, make Dryads 90 points, make Tree Lords 160. Like, they just dropped everything a ton, and it was just like, the Kurnoth Hunters, I was like, I'd rather Bow Hunters go down and the rest stay about like 180, 190. Like, maybe Sword Hunters are at 190, 180 for Scythe, and 160 for Bow Hunters. But like, they just dropped the points everywhere. I'm like, that would fix Sylvaneth. Just a points drop across the board.
To trigger John, because John always has something to say about Games Workshop's digital operation. I want to point out that the FAQ environment for Warhammer community has been fucked for now the almost 10 days. They apparently deleted a bunch of the facts. They're not available anymore. The designer commentary, especially for KO and Seraphon, like, they're just gone. So like, there's a bunch of things. There's a bunch of changes for like KO, for example. They're just like, or clarifications, they're not there anymore. So like, the whole concept of like, can you basically fly high in the hero phase of Varric Zelfin? Well, the designer commentary is gone now, so technically you can't.
Wow.
And it's been that way since the 17th of February. So about almost 10 days now. By the time this gets posted, it would have been 10 days. So I don't know what's taking them so long to fix something that seems as easy as basically re-uploading. But if that was their intention of like not doing a winter FAQ by just deleting the designer commentary, old move, but it's that displays that for them.
Well, maybe that's the data they're collecting. They're just going to wipe out all the facts, see if vanilla actually plays okay before readjusting.
Yeah, like even like the Seraphon stuff, like there's no designer commentary for Seraphon, which actually hurts them as well. Not in a way that matters, but it's kind of like, what the fuck? Anyway.
Yeah,
Alex,
it's funny. We talked about, you and I did the Dark Angels Codex release.
Yeah.
I just got my codex shipped today. Got the email from GW.
Dude, I put that order for Slanesh. So like, we'll be in delivery within the next 25 working days. I was like, that doesn't actually say delivered in 25 working days. They're just saying in delivery in 20. Holy fuck! Like, how bad can your pipeline be if like your lead time is to even commit to sending something is 25 working days?
Yeah, I mean that's like in the 80s when I cut something out of a cereal box to send in for my decoder ring. It would come in 4 to 6 weeks, right? I thought we had advanced past that.
Well, their warehouses are in Texas. All their whole production system for the in the United States is in Texas, and so
I thought it was all in Tennessee or something before.
Yeah, it's in Tennessee.
Oh, it's in Tennessee.
Alex,
I know that
you're so mute, Alex. We can't hear you, buddy.
This works out well.
I thought I was off mute. Thank you. Thank
They
you.
put out a post talking about how because of Texas, their whole production got shut
No,
down.
they're in Tennessee. They're
Well, still,
warehouse
the
in Tennessee.
whole country, especially like from New Mexico to Vermont, basically got hit. But Texas has their own unique infrastructure for power, which has led to.
ERCOT. But the point, yes, I understand they're having delays because of this, but they've been having delays since last year, since COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like,
So it's safe to say
you're gonna run out of excuses.
It's safe to say that there's a chance that John will get his codex before 10th edition. I think there's a chance. He
Well, if
will
I was
get
gonna base it on the Lumineth release, he'll get his codex by the time the next Archangel codex comes out in 8 months.
Yeah. Good point. So you'll have 20 minutes to enjoy your codex before the next one comes out.
That's right, John.
That's the new rapid release cycle.
Yeah. Shit. Oh man.
At this point, they might as well just transfuse my wallet straight into their financials.
Give you nothing.
Direct transfusion.
That's another thing. They're trying to promote the log into your account and give us some of your personal data with your Warhammer app, and we can potentially give you a giveaway and a prize. There's that get your cart kind of promotion going on right now. And I thought it was really funny that I had a few 40K friends of mine who were just like, I'm not going to share my personal information with them. I'm like, but
they asked literally
everything else.
they also asked nothing. They asked like your name, address, your phone number, and your email. That's fucking it.
I think they already have all of those from me in my account from ordering way too much stuff for way too many years.
Yeah.
For sure. One other thing here, I was looking
I know I log in, and when I click login, all of a sudden the border of the browser turns gold and a big smiley face appears.
It's funny. I'd be remiss if we didn't go through some of the additional things for Age of Sigmar that are going to be coming up, meaning that there's probably going to be separate rules for them as well. Of course, for Warhammer Underworlds, we are going to get a Bone Splitters faction or gang for Warhammer Underworlds. It's going to be the Mob of Mork. That's where we saw the totally not Wolverine posed Bone Splitter. There's another one with a big old axe, one with a big old bow. There's very clearly like a weird knob shaman character.
Yeah,
looks pretty cool. We'll see. At least it's cool models. There's also going to be that new Nighthawk model, as I mentioned.
Looks
hopefully it's good. They say that it's these phantasmical beings met a gruesome end to their foulest torture imaginable. Fits in line with the Night Haunt Dante's Inferno style, but it said someone poured out their Agrax Earthshade in front of their eyes. So there you go. And then there's this other one, and I have not read enough Age of Sigmar fluff books, but I didn't know that this guy named Gardas Steel is like a reoccurring regular character.
He's a Hallowed Knight Lord.
Now he's getting a model. He looks like Dorn.
Yeah, that is some torturous stuff to read.
Is it bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that saying he keeps saying? For the light or for the purity. Like every
Hallowed Knights, I think it's for purity.
Yeah.
Because they're like supposed to be like all about like they're like shitty blood angels.
Purity.
Or
yeah, he has this like
shitty
purity.
This like phrase he says like, but it gets like every 3 minutes as an audiobook. It's like constantly. Every time he attacks a new enemy, it's his war cry.
You sure it's not an intelligent weapon that swings and says it as it's swinging?
That would be cool.
Dude,
that would be cool.
So you're saying an elite I can't
I'm just gonna say
the algorithm is
what Alex is.
The algorithm's gonna fuck with it. The algorithm's gonna fuck with the video if I say what I'm gonna say. I'm 90% certain Jeremy's picking up what I'm putting down. I think you guys all are. Oh boy. Oh,
what kind of color
God.
purity is it?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. One other thing too, to kind of like wrap up that preview and our thoughts here on it, was that very final thing. And this is actually something that I meant to bring up a lot earlier today. you know, of course, we got a little preview, and you know, people, Jeremy including, really wanted Warriors of Chaos models. They wanted plastic, multi-pose, multi-fit, not push fit Warriors of Chaos models. And turns out we are going to get one. And it's going to be on the base of a new model. And I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with it, because did I show you guys I put it in on our team chat. I think I may have put it in the podcast Discord as well. All the preview images, people had taken stills and basically put them all together. And it's obviously Be'lakor. We just don't have the face, and exact same pose, a way bigger model, I'm assuming, because you know, my Be'lakor model is, I think, in California, but the Be'lakor model is not big at all. It's
I should grab mine. He's like 3 inches tall.
Yeah, he's
Right.
tiny. He's tiny. You know, I'm pretty sure he's like Gulliman may be bigger than him for context.
I mean, this is made in the era where Nagash is only 3 inches tall too, right? Like,
True.
original Nagash. I don't-
Nagash was like an inch and a half.
No, yeah. Nagash
Yeah.
was he was like a
Yeah.
Primera size, yeah. So we're gonna get that, but then in the video and stuff, they talk about how he's being, you know, he is vengeance kind of thing. So I'm like, is this gonna mean that like he's gonna be like fuck Archeon? Because you know, with End Times, basically like the interesting part with End Times was all the like trials and labors Archeon had to do to get all his special, you know, gear to level up. And once he got everything, Be'lakor tried his best to fuck with him, and then it came to the point where it was like he knew he couldn't fight him. He like wasn't allowed to from the gods, and then all of a sudden he gets the crown of domination, and it's like I have to actually crown him myself, and there's literally nothing I can do about it. And it's like the ultimate like, oh, you tried to get this, but you never will. In fact, we are now going to force you to crown this guy the ever chosen. And so it's like, I'm interested to see if he's very salty still. I'm gonna guess that he is.
Be'lakor has amazing fluff.
Yes.
And has always had, we'll call them niche rules.
Yeah. I really hope that he doesn't have the same rules he had before, but I
like his
think
rules.
What?
I like his rules.
Niche.
Yes,
They were
niche is-
interesting to read as the model on itself, but not always highly usable in a game. Like, I want him to be a cool demon character that regardless of what god I'm running, I want him in my army all the time.
He needs to address the fact that he was the first demon prince, and
Yeah.
he's got to have rules that reflect that. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. I'm sure that he's going to have some sort of beef with Archeon, obviously. So I'm interested to see if he's going to be included either in a campaign book, or if he's going to be included in campaign book, maybe with special rules for a certain type of chaos army that's like not an ever chosen one, or not like clearly an 8-point army or something like that. So I'd be really interested to see what they do with him. It's an awesome model, the old one, and the fact that they took the same pose makes me very excited as well. I think that it's going to fit in line with the fact that Total War Warhammer 3 is coming out sometime this year. We don't have a friggin' date yet, but it's Creative Assembly has continued to say, oh, we're not going to do End Times, but they're like showing you everything that's End Times, including units that were only released during End Times. So you're like, okay, well, are they going to just come out with a Be'lakor model for that too? Like, I'm fully expecting a Be'lakor DLC or something. And if they come out with something like that right out the gate, I would not be shocked that it would like coincide with the release. At least that's what I think. That if I was in head of marketing, that's what I would want to do, right? So get the hype on both ends. But yeah, that's what I'm very excited about. You guys excited about Be'lakor, or is it just me?
Oh no, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I like the model. I have the model now. He's always been a cool model, so I will definitely pick up Be'lakor. I like demons, a lot of demons, so.
There you go. And I'm sure it'll be 40K. There'll be 40K rules somewhere down the line too.
Yeah,
So-
and I play like the army I'm playing nowadays is still my Nurgle demon army, so I'm assuming I'll be able to use him with that.
Yeah. Are you saying, Jeremy?
No, I was just I don't give a shit about Be'lakor. I just want to put something out there though for you because we skipped over it. But those new Bone Splitter models don't have toenails. If you see it, you can't unsee it. Enjoy.
Oh, why are you trying to ruin my? Oh God, wait, hold on. Oh, You are fully correct. Where are their toenails? This doesn't make sense.
They have nails, don't have toenails. Good job, Games Workshop. Good job.
And they have nipples. Hey, they have nipples. They have nipples but no toenails. And they have fingernails.
Why would you have nipples if you're a fungus? It grew up.
That's a 40K thing, not AOS.
Maybe it's a spore. Maybe it releases spores.
It's a 40K thing. It's never been in AOS. They haven't ever clarified where orcs come from in AOS.
They never will.
There's girly orcs out there.
There could be. Who knows?
Sure. You don't have to have women's tits to be having giving birth. Just
maybe they look like female dwarves. Now the secret is out.
That's right.
Now that the secret is out. Shit. Also
that's be some great fluff. Oh my gosh. Orcs and dwarves share the same female species.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
I think
I'm so over this topic now.
This is a good place to probably wrap it up.
Oh God, thank you.
We of course do have a review. Jeremy and I did a review last week. Check it out for both Hedonites and Daughters of Cain. It's one big old long one, so have fun with that if you want to go through and see our thoughts on the entire battle tome. There's a lot more focus on Slaanesh just because the Daughters of Cain rules for the most part didn't see all that much of a change with it. There were more additions than there were outright changes. So we do go through each one.
They only got nerfed.
I'm sorry, what?
They only got nerfed. They got no changes, just nerfs.
Yeah. Well, they got a new house or sub faction, but
right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Or two if you count the one from Broken Realms. Yeah. And then of course, we're gonna have the hobby stream that had just happened with John. Seeing more of the cool stuff. In addition to that, we of course do have our regular stream on the weekend. Do let us know if anything goes wrong, especially for all of you who listen to Apple Podcasts. Turns out there have been some issues with Apple Podcasts only showing one episode, and that's not right. I have contacted Apple Podcasts, and I'm going to see what I can do to get that worked out. If you have that issue and you are having problems listening to our episodes, the entire library is available on Google Podcasts and is always available at any time on Spotify as well. So do take a look at that. You definitely will be able to see the full library. In the meantime, do like and subscribe there as well as Podbean, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is going to be Alex, John, Garrett, and Jeremy signing off for the evening.
Night, folks.